Because you took off your sunglasses. I had asked this Ndombi to look through the rules of Parliament to see if there's anything prohibiting a member from wearing sunglasses. And if the rules permitted it, I would have specifically asked that you put them back on. Then you can trend, you know. You can be like Mr. Nzeku.
It was a long weekend, so.
A lot of the time, people don't complain about a long weekend unless it was a busy one. Honorable members, good morning, and thanks very much for being here. So today we are supposed to have the former Chief Executive Officer of the Road Accident Fund, Mr. Collins Letsoalo. He has not yet arrived. I just want to do a brief narration, and Ms. Ibrahim may fill in some of the gaps if I leave out anything, because she's obviously the principal correspondence agent of the committee with witnesses that are supposed to come and appear. But I'll just say a couple of things by way of how we have been liaising with witnesses and the extent of the communication with Mr. Letsoalo and what's happened recently, and then put it to the members in terms of what then happens next. So you will recall that we took a decision to issue him with a summons, which was done. But before that was actually sent to him, apart from the correspondence that the committee had been having with him, which led to us deciding to issue a summons to begin with, the legal team sent a courtesy letter to him at the same email address we had been corresponding with him throughout, just to let him know that the committee had resolved as it did in terms of a summons, and that as we had agreed that should he decide to come in between, we would then treat his attendance at the committee as having been voluntary. So that is the first. The second thing is then that the summons was then issued by the Secretary to Parliament. The sheriff in Pretoria served it at the same physical address that had been on the letters that he sent to the committee. So we assumed that would be his address. The sheriff was both told upon getting to the estate that there was nobody in the residence. The sheriff nonetheless asked to go for themselves. They went there, and indeed there was no one, and it did not appear that anybody had lived there for quite some time. In other words, the house is uninhabited. The legal team then persevered and asked the Road Accident Fund for an alternate alternate physical address, which was then provided to the sheriff. And the sheriff then made numerous attempts to serve the summons. Unlike the first address, the second address appeared that there was somebody staying there, and so they also left a note at the gate to say that they had been there and how we could get in touch with them. That was not responded to. In the meantime, the Secretariat also was making attempts to just let him know that the committee was looking to secure his attendance at the committee and so on, and that also was unsuccessful. He did, I believe, on Friday, I speak under correction, because Ms. Ibrahim then sent him a text message on the same phone number that we know, and he did respond to that text message. And in the text message, in sum, he said that he's got attorneys that have written a letter to the committee. And as a legal professional, Ms. Ibrahim should know that she should not be attempting to speak to him. Secondly, we must stop saying that he cannot be found. He used more strident language. I won't repeat it here. Basically, and so we then started looking for because I didn't have, Sis Ntombi didn't have, the Secretariat didn't have a letter, Ms. Ibrahim didn't have a letter. When we saw the letter purporting to be the letter, coming from him, which I think Honorable Atkinson had received from somewhere, I received it, I think, the next day from another ex-road accident fund employee. So everybody appeared to have the letter except the people listed on that address. And I did on Friday evening make several phone calls just to be certain. I spoke to my own executive assistant, Sis Ntombi, and I spoke around 3 minutes to 6 that evening. I remember quite well. Just to be sure, and I asked that I be informed if anything comes through. I was also similarly in touch with the Parliament legal team, with Ms. Ibrahim, just to make sure that if anything comes through, then we can deal with it at that level. Nothing came through. Yesterday, we then took the initiative again, and Ms. Ibrahim got in touch with the IT department and said, look, there is this letter that is circulating around. We just want to know whether such a letter came through, because none of us have received it. I've checked with the chair, the Secretary to Parliament's office, etc. This letter is still not here. So the IT department went and had a look, and there was an email that had been sent from that email address, but the system had rejected it. That was on Friday, the 21st, I think it was, right? That was not the 20th, but on the 21st, on Friday. Then Ms. Ibrahim asked IT to ensure that in the event that email address sends an email again, the system must allow it to come through. She then took the initiative to reach out to the number that is on the letter that is circulating, and identified herself and said, I am so-and-so from Parliament, and this is why I am phoning. Could you please ask that the email that was being transmitted on Friday is sent again to the email addresses, just so that if there is a problem with Parliament system again, here is my personal email address, so that if it doesn't go through Parliament, at least it can go through on an alternate server, so that we at least have the benefit of official communication, so that we then know what to do. I checked with Mrs. Ibrahim a few minutes ago, because I wanted to make sure when I came in and I called her to have a discussion. I checked with her if any email had come through. I checked my own email. We still don't have an email. So that is the state of affairs right now. A couple of things. In fact, before I make the comments, Ms. Ibrahim, am I leaving anything out by way of critical information to share with the committee?
No, Chair, that's correct, and it captures what's transpired to date correctly. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. So the reason we've gone to all of this trouble to make sure that the letter, whatever letter has been prepared by attorneys on behalf of Mr. Letsoalo, is served upon Parliament by the attorneys, is then we know for certain that it is authentic. You can't pick something off the street and say, that's not the way that you communicate. As I've indicated, when we've had to communicate with witnesses, we've done so directly. Some of them have had attorneys, most of them have not had attorneys. We've also had instances where, for instance, in Ms. Mabusela's case, the number that we had of Ms. Mabusela was not the correct number. She nonetheless got in touch with the Road Accident Fund and said, hey, I hear you are looking for me. Parliament is looking for me. Can you get me in touch with them? And we managed to get in touch with her in that way. So in other words, when witnesses have caught wind of the fact that there is something to do with them, they've also made attempts to make sure that we get to speak and make certain that we're on the same page in terms of where they should go. So the second thing I want to say, you will recall that before we issued a summons, we also took a decision to provide Mr. Letsoalo with more time if you recall. I think it was on Honorable Skosana's suggestion that we provide more grace. We did in the initial planning. I speak under correction. We were supposed to have him last week. And therefore, we've kind of extended his appearance by a week. We redid the program in order to allow him more time in order to appear before the committee. So the only thing we have officially is his previous correspondence to the committee, which correspondence said that this committee does not have the authority to do the work that it is doing, that it is against the rules of parliament for it to look into these matters. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but in sum, we are supposed to consider the financial statements tabled before us only, and then that's the end of the business of the Standing Committee on Public Accounts. No further questions asked. This has serious implications for the work of the committee, because basically it means the committee can't do much else. We limit ourselves to the financial statements and the presentation of the Auditor General, because we have to do this consistently with everybody. And if that is so, then the work of the committee is severely limited. We have taken advice on whether the scope of this work is within the rules and whether it is lawful. And the advice we've received is that it is. As you know, the Speaker has also concurred with us, because we sought concurrence with the Speaker, both with the inquiry first, and then secondly, when we had to issue a summons to Mr. Letsoalo, and he had made the representations that he did. So, honorable members, that is where we are. I will, before we maybe talk about what we need to do, including what is a reasonable time for us to wait, because the last point I should make is witnesses are not obliged to confirm that they are coming. They may actually just rock up today. That is why it was important that we sit here. Otherwise, if we schedule something else with the time that we'd set aside, the witness can then say, well, you were not intending to have me anyway. You've got somebody else coming. And I saw your program. I wasn't even on the program on that day. So unfortunately, today and tomorrow, we have to schedule for Mr. Letsoalo to appear before the committee. We haven't had any communication from him since the last time we did, and we then have to talk about next steps. But before we do that, let me maybe hand back to the members for any further questions and so on. And then we'll... Ms. Ibrahim first. I might be leaving something out. Ms. Ibrahim, and then I'll come to you, Honorable Atkinson.
Chair, I just wanted to put on record that in the message that we received from Mr. Letsoalo, he had indicated that the letter had been sent the previous night, which would have been the 20th, so in other words, on Thursday evening, which added to the confusion, because the letter ultimately that had come through, or hadn't come through rather, via email, was on the 21st. But be that as it may, Chair, just a reminder about the letter that we addressed yesterday afternoon before close of business to the attorneys, wherein we noted that we're still not in formal possession of the letter. We attached a copy of the letter that had been circulating on various WhatsApp platforms, and that was provided to members on their own WhatsApp group. And we responded to the various issues that were raised. The conclusion of that letter was that the summons for today still stands, because the committee rejects the reasons provided, which were merely a repeat of what was contained in previous correspondence to date. So the attorneys did not respond to that letter as well up until this point, and no contact's been made. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Ibrahim. I just want to know if the members have got any further questions, comments, before we then talk about next steps. Honorable Atkinson.
Thanks very much, Chair. Chair, I'd just like to confirm with Ms. Ibrahim that the summons was issued in terms of Section 14 of the Privileges and Powers Act of Parliament, basically.
All right. Ms. Ibrahim.
Yes, Chair, that is correct. We followed the procedure in terms of the Act, which required the committee to resolve as to whether it wished to summons Mr. Letsoalo. That was then followed by a request to the Speaker for concurrence and a direction by the Chair to the Secretary to Parliament to issue that summons. That summons contained details as to what the committee expected from Mr. Letsoalo, and besides that, we also took numerous steps to make sure that he's appraised of all the work that the committee's done to date, Chair. Thank you.
So, Chair, would I be correct then to assume that if he doesn't appear, he has committed a criminal offence in terms of this act, and that we should call for his prosecution and for you as chairperson of the committee to lay charges against him if he doesn't appear today?
Let me defer to Ms. Ibrahim on the legal matters, if that's okay. She's available to advise all of us. Ms. Ibrahim?
Chair, in terms of Section 17 of the Act, a person who's been duly summoned and who fails without sufficient cause to attend at the time and place specified in the summons is guilty of an offence and is liable to a fine or period of imprisonment not exceeding 12 months. So unless Mr. Letsoalo can show that there was reasonable cause, then indeed it would be a criminal offence. So a simple example of reasonable cause would be somebody's unable to attend due to severe illness. For example, they're hospitalized, or otherwise a flight may be delayed and you're not able then to physically appear at the time that you mean to appear. In Mr. Letsoalo's case, the reasonable cause that's being raised is the fact that in his view, the committee doesn't have the locus standi or the legal jurisdiction to deal with the matters that it's dealing with. And that's the basis on which he has repeatedly rejected the request to attend voluntarily.
Chair, then I do think it's incumbent upon you that if he doesn't appear today or tomorrow, that you do need to lay charges against him on behalf of the committee. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Atkinson. Can I take, Honorable Atkinson, sorry. Can I take other comments from committee members? Honorable Skosan, and then Honorable Mente, and then Honorable Beasley.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, and good morning to all honorable members, our support team, and all other stakeholders present. Yeah, no, Chair, I think we need just to be around the precinct of Parliament, maybe from now till around 12. Hoping that he may appear, I think, but after 12, I don't think he can delay. He can be late for more than 3 hours, and unfortunately, we have to do the same even tomorrow because he was scheduled for today and tomorrow, be around from 9 up until 12. If he's not here by 12 o'clock tomorrow, and then we have to take the next step, which is what Honorable Atkinson has suggested, unfortunately. Because we did all in our powers to try and get him to attend this inquiry. We even extended and did all that. Unfortunately, we can't talk about the letter that was circulating on the social media. I think, like you indicated, and Ms. Ibrahim, that we have not received the letter. So I think we will be gossiping if we discuss the contents of that letter. So where we are seated, we don't have any letter from Mr. Letsoalo or from his lawyers. So we are expecting him to be here today and tomorrow. So I think we just have to be around today, tomorrow. If by 12 o'clock tomorrow is not here, then we must take a firm decision that the next step must be taken in terms of Powers, Privileges and Immunities Act. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Skosana. Honorable Mente.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. Now, Chair, I was listening. I missed the part where you say IT went to find and then they found a rejected email. Can we get to know which email was that? And then secondly, I'm not sure. I agree with Skosana that we have scheduled today and tomorrow, and then we will see then after. But I disagree with that. We must decide on what must take place now when we know for sure what happens. We do not know what is happening at this moment. You also do not know what is happening. So for us to decide what must happen now and to be very quick into saying what must happen will be very malicious of us. And I want to caution once more, we should be very patient. And if we already know what is this committee about and what will be the ultimate end of what we are trying to do, then that's very dangerous. We shouldn't have done it. We should have just gone to the report and drafted it. So let's wait and see. We'll hear from you if you get the email, but let's just hear what was that email about. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mendes. So, I mean, the second one is a comment to all of us. The first one, all IT know is that there was an attempt to transmit an email. They don't have the actual contents of it itself. So what then happens is that the person who sent the note gets a non-delivery message. You know that auto message that you get. When the message is quarantined within the Parliament email address system, you might possibly get it. You then get that email that asks you to choose whether you want to release it or not. And that is when there might be issues that the email is not safe and that kind of thing. And when you see the email address, you then as the receiver decide to release it or to release all. I don't know if you've received those notifications. I get them all the time. The difference here is that the system reports that this email address attempted to send an email, it was rejected. The actual email itself is not there. Hence then Ms. Ibrahim decided to phone the number and say, you guys tried to send an email at this time to Parliament. Can you please send it again so that we can then receive it and see what is in it? If it doesn't go through, here is my personal email address so that if there's a problem with Parliament system, it can come through my personal address, and I will make sure the chair and the speaker and everybody have it as listed on the letter. Thirdly, here is my cell phone number. Please ask the person who authored the email to please call me or to message me to make sure that we can talk. That's what Ms. Ibrahim did. So to date, we have not received anything. Thank you. And I wanted to say on the point of, one of the questions that I asked, we must decide what is a reasonable time as a committee. So thanks, Honourable Member. Honourable Beasley.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So essentially, Mr. Letsoalo has shown a middle finger to Parliament, and I think we're setting a very dangerous precedent if we don't take him into the full might of the criminal justice system, because as Parliament, we do have an oversight responsibility, and it would be a very dangerous precedent if people just ignore summons going forward, not only for Scopa, but for the rest of Parliament. And I think it's a dangerous ground we're getting into, and I would certainly support the full might of the law be taken in this matter. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honourable Neil May.
No, thank you, Chair. Given the magnitude of government's failure at RAF, and what message does this non-appearance send to Parliament, the public and the claimants whose lives have been affected? Chair, I want to concur with my colleagues here, and that let us stay in the precinct for the next 2 days. Let's see what happens if anybody communicates with us. It's just very interesting that the whole of RAF structures all received that WhatsApp letter, that it is trending out there in social media, yet it's not here in Parliament. So let us give the time, as Honourable Skosana was saying, we're here, we booked for 2 days, and see what happens. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honourable Madlala.
Thank you, Chair. Well, I want to first comment on how long do you wait. And I don't think it should exceed an hour. I think an hour is a fair amount of time to wait. On the part of steps, I think some matters are legal issues. I don't think it's up to us to have a discretion of what needs to happen. If there are letters from lawyers, there are processes that legal needs to advise on in terms of principle. But also I want to concur with the view that at this point, it may be premature of us to conclude that there's a non-attendance, an unreasonable non-attendance for that matter, because like you have said, unless they can prove a valid cause, which I believe is proved in a court of law or somewhere else, whether there was a valid cause. Because as we speak, we don't know. And we must not presume, because it may lead us to a path again of suggesting that we already have generated some conclusions. If it shows up now, then we may have to have an apology and say, we assumed, we are sorry, but why did you assume that, and all of that. So I think let's just trust the process. But I propose an hour. I think an hour is fair. You can only wait for 2-3 hours if there's notification that we are so much delayed. But if there's no notification, we can't sit here the entire day. You will be wasting taxpayers' money. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Honorable Matiwane, and then I'll come back to you, Honorable Atkinson, and then I'll make some, if no further comments, I'll make a proposal also that we resolve on.
And Letsoalo, Nagmalungu, committee. I just have a question, Slalo. As we're sitting here today, are we in possession of the letter that was sent on the 20th? When we try, when the legal team tried to make contact with them, did they eventually get the letter? Because I'm thinking now there are legal technicalities around everything now. Even if you look at that, I don't know if it's a fake letter or what, but that letter that was circulating, there was a demand there that Parliament should respond within 5 days. And legally, they might argue that we did send communication. It is the parliamentary systems that failed to receive the communication.
Thanks, Honorable Matiwane. So we don't have the letter officially. That is why Ms. Ibrahim picked up the phone and called the number that is on the letter that is circulating, so that we may then receive it and respond officially to it. What she did, though, so remember there was a phone call, and then there was an email sent yesterday. So another letter was sent to the attorneys, basically saying, in the event that what's contained in that letter is what you wrote, this is our position on the matter. They still know a response to yesterday's email. So they now have Ms. Ibrahim's personal email address. They've got her phone number, and they've also got another letter that we've reached out, even though we're never officially notified that these are the attorneys. We've reached out proactively. So I think, Honorable Matiwane, we've taken all reasonable steps so far to make sure that Mr. Letsoalo is given an opportunity. I don't know if that provides the explanation, Honorable Matiwane, because we don't have the only letter we have is the one that's circulating. We've nonetheless used it to reach out to them. That's what I'm saying. All right. No, I just want to be sure that we're on the same page, at least in regards to what happened. So I want to be certain that we deal with all matters. Is it fine? Can we move on? Okay, thank you. Honorable Atkinson?
Chair, I'd concur with my colleague that we stay here for an hour and then maybe leave a person in the room, but all of us remain in a position where we can be called immediately back to the room if needs be until 12 o'clock. And then a similar thing tomorrow, where there will be someone here sitting here all the time to receive Mr. Letsoalo if he arrives, and then everyone can be summoned to attend the meeting. And the other thing, I just want to make a point, there's nothing malicious in investigating the different paths that we can take and what our legal basis is. And if he doesn't arrive by 12 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, then definitely, I don't actually think we've actually got a choice in the matter, that for the credibility of Parliament's sake, you do need to lay charges against him. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Can I just take the comments on this as having been made, because I do want to make a proposal, because I've got one additional step to propose. Honorable Matiwane, would you like to say something? Yes.
I'm thinking now another clarity from, I just need clarity maybe. The email address that sent the email to the parliamentary servers is the same email address that is appearing on the letter.
Yes, it is. That is why we then reached out on the phone number that is on that letter, because they match.
Then legally, when it comes to communication and the serving of notices, where do we stand as Parliament in that matter? If Ms. Fatima can tell us. When someone has sent something to us,
Sure.
where do we stand legally?
I will ask Ms. Ibrahim to. So, in other words, there was an attempt to transmit the email. It was rejected. Has it then been sent? Has it been served on us as Parliament? That's the question.
Thank you, Chair. No, Chair, it hasn't been served because, as you indicated, there's a difference between an email that's quarantined in the system, and a good example of that would be, and members would be aware, where you receive an email, often to do with marketing or advertising, where you're told that somebody's attempting to send an email, and you allowed then to either accept or reject that email. In this case, it was blacklisted completely, so the recipients wouldn't have even been aware that there was an email that was attempted to be sent. The only people that would have been aware that the email wasn't received would have been the sender, because the sender would have received notification that the email had not been transmitted. So that's the first thing. There was no way in which to accept the email, which is why IT then indicated that we would have to ask them to resend the email, and in the interim they would what they call whitelist that email address to allow the email then to come in. So the mere fact that we know that there may or may not have been an email is irrelevant, because the actual content of that email is not known and can't be established.
Thank you. So I'll come to you. So basically, it's the same principle that there was an attempt to serve summons on Mr. Letsoalo. He was not there. He has not received that summons. The fact that the sheriff was at his house numerous times does not mean he has received it. The only thing we know is that when there was an attempt to serve it, he wasn't there. We can't therefore make the assumption here that it's his fault that he wasn't there. He's received the summons, and then, you know what I mean? So that is why we have to be here in order to wait for him nonetheless. But let me give you an opportunity. So we never got the content of the letter, unfortunately. So please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. You know, there are contradictions now to what you are saying, because Mr. Honorable Atkinson raised that we should invoke the privileges and of Parliament because he had been served. Now we are saying he has not been served with the summons. But I want to check, when did IT become aware that there was an attempt to receive an email? When it was sent on the 20th? It was sent on the 20th of November. So when did IT become aware that there was an attempt from this email address to send an email to Parliament?
Okay, thanks, Honorable Matuan. So let me say, Honorable Atkinson is Honorable Atkinson. I am me. We don't need to agree. So he might be contradicting me, but that's his thing. I allow everyone to say what they want to say. I just want to make that clear. So, and Ms. Ibrahim will correct me if I'm wrong. The attempt to send an email was actually not on the 20th. It was on the 21st. Even though the letter is dated the 20th, the attempt was on the 21st, firstly. Secondly, Ms. Ibrahim, I didn't get the email. I'm trying to remember our conversation from memory, so please correct me. I think it was approximately mid-morning on Friday when the attempt was made to send the email. I don't know when IT would have become aware specifically. I just know that after our conversation, Ms. Ibrahim and I, we initiated a conversation with IT to say, just make sure this email is not stuck somewhere. And they then went and had a look. So when she got to the office yesterday, one of the first things she did was to send an email to the head of IT and say, this is what we've been looking for. Please go and have a look. I can't speak for them, Honorable Matuane, as to when they know that a specific email has been rejected. I can only speak to the initiative we've taken as the committee. But what the system shows is that the attempt to send the email was actually on the 21st of November, which is fine with us. Even if the letter had arrived yesterday, it's still fine, basically. Or even if it had arrived this morning at 8:59, it's still fine. Nothing turns for us on it, in that would have been communicated before we sat here. So I don't know if that... So what was... Sorry, there was a second part to your question. Did I miss anything? No. Yeah, I've answered both. I've said we don't know when someone, a warm body at IT, would have went and had a look and known. So that we don't know. We can only speak to the steps we've taken. Honorable, Ms. Ibrahim, then I'll come to Honorable Mente and then Honorable Madlan.
Chairperson, so IT in and of itself would not have been aware. That the only reason that they became aware is because we asked them to specifically go and check. And so on Saturday, via WhatsApp, they confirmed there was an attempt. And the first thing on Monday morning, I then asked for confirmation of that to be put on an email in writing to me so that I could then contact the attorneys. So IT wouldn't have been aware unless, of course, somebody asked them to go and check. And there was this discrepancy between Mr. Letsoalo indicating a letter ought to have come in on Thursday, but in fact was then only sent mid-morning, apparently, on Friday.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Ibrahim. Honorable Mente.
Thank you, Chair. No, Chair, we have already agreed that we will wait and we have a time, then we will know maybe tomorrow of what happens, because things stands, we have an invite to Mr. Letsoalo. We don't have a summon or a legal document that compels him to be here. But what I wanted to check on the letter, which Honorable Atkinson posted in our group, there's a worrying accusation against us that there's a publication of physical address of the former CEO. I just want to check, is that true? Did we publish his physical address? Because that will be very dangerous and it would not be reflecting of caring people, because as things stand, we have all seen what's happening at RAF, and we have all seen things that are really bad, and we do not want to push any citizen of this country to a corner wherein we expose their whereabouts to people who want their head. Similarly to when I was worried about a witness who didn't want to be seen, because people die. And we can't be responsible for sending those who want to assassinate others to the correct address. Did we do that? Thank you.
Honorable Member, not that I'm aware of. In fact, one of the things I am particular about is the reduction of personal information. Car number plates, where that applies, ID numbers, phone numbers, addresses. The most recent example is Miss Manyasha. She sent us an affidavit with all her details in it. I delayed circulation of that affidavit to the members so that the staff could specifically redact it. One of the things we try and check for is also whether the redaction can be undone so that the redaction is complete. As far as I know, Ms. Ibrahim, we haven't sent the summons when it was, for instance, published electronically, didn't have Mr. Letsoalo's email, any of his personal details, did it?
Chair, there were two summons. So the first summons that we issued didn't include the address. The only person that address would have been shared with would obviously be the sheriff, in order that the sheriff may serve the summons. on the second summons, we asked the Secretary to Parliament to reissue a summons to specifically provide that we could send it via SMS, email, and then also publish it. And in there, we had indicated that these were the attempts made to serve, and we listed the two addresses, but we redacted that. So the version that was published, I'm 100% sure it was redacted. So as far as I'm aware, there has been no publication other than us receiving correspondence from the RAF indicating the address and us in turn informing the sheriff of the court of that address, Chair.
Okay, so I mean, if anything like that happens, I mean, I would need to look into it, but not that we really particularly witnesses do overshare actually when they share with us, and part of the back and forth is asking them to remove certain information that is not critical for the purpose, because it is personal information. There was Honorable Madlala before you, Honorable Atkinson. Can we get to a point where I make my suggestion so that we can move?
Yeah, no, sure. Thanks, Chair. I just wanted to get clarity on one small thing. You made an indication that Mr. Letsoalo said there must not be an impression that he cannot be located. In that communication, would it be wrong to then assume that he would know why he's being located equally? So whilst he has not been served summons, he would know that there's an attempt to locate him for him to be served summons, because he knows that there's an impression being sent that he can't be located. And maybe legally we could be advised, if though he has not been served on hand summons, would that not consider reasonable apprehension that he is aware that there are summons?
Okay, thanks, Honorable Madlala. Ms. Ibrahim, are you comfortable that I read the WhatsApp?
Yes, Chair, that's fine. But before you do that, Chair, I just want to put on record that the initial summons that we drafted provided, that the Secretary provided that it must be served by the Sheriff of the Court and also via email and SMS by the Secretariat. So it had to have been done both ways. As you indicated, the Sheriff then was unsuccessful on serving on the first address. The second address that was occupied, the Sheriff then left a note informing Mr. Letsoalo that there is this summons. We then went back to the Secretary to Parliament to ask for what we refer to as substituted service. So usually in high court proceedings where you can't locate a person, you then get special permission from the court then to serve via other means. So either by publication in a newspaper or electronically via email and so on. So we went back to ask the Secretary to Parliament to give us permission to serve in additional ways. One, via email, two, via SMS, thirdly, by affixing a notice to the door of the summons, because we now know that that address is occupied, and then also by publication on social media. So we try to deal with it in as many possible ways that we could. We have a return of service that it has been affixed to the door. Our media team can confirm that it has been published. It's on the parliamentary website. It was also on the Facebook page, by way of example. I'm 100% confident that Mr. Letsoalo is aware of the fact that he's expected to be here. As I indicated, we even provided notice prior to the Speaker concurring, indicating that the committee resolved for him to appear today and tomorrow, and that we're in the process of obtaining that concurrence, and that he should expect a summons to be served. The WhatsApp, and also if the content of that letter is a true reflection of correspondence that he intended to send to us, would indicate that the summons has been received and there's knowledge of the fact that he needs to appear today. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ibrahim. So I will read and then okay, Honorable Maduna.
Chair, no, good morning, Chair and members. And no, I just want to confirm, Chair. So basically, Ms. Ibrahim is saying to us, we have served Letsoalo with summons, because I think that we need to be clear on that. Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to ask her to clarify that segment. It's with regards to the electronic. I'll come to you, Honorable Atkinson. With regards to the electronic part, but On Friday, Ms. Ibrahim sent a message to Mr. Letsoalo. Good morning, sir. My name is Fatima Ibrahim. I am the Parliamentary Legal Advisor assisting SCOPA with its RAF Enquiry. We have made numerous attempts to contact you. I would like to speak to you regarding your appearance, which is scheduled for Tuesday and Wednesday next week. It would be much appreciated if you could please return my call. He then responded and said, good morning. Kindly refrain from harassing me. My lawyers have sent a letter to Parliament last night, a copy of which you must have. As a legal practitioner or legally trained person, you must know who you must contact when I have appointed attorneys and they are on record. Also, stop this nonsense of claiming I have gone into hiding and cannot be found. So I believe it is for the last sentence that it appears that Mr. Letsoalo is aware that Parliament is looking for him. The only thing that I just wanted to clarify, Ms. Ibrahim, is that do you mean the summons is considered served, or do you meant he is aware that Parliament has issued summons to him? Because those are two different things.
Both, Chairperson.
Is it both? Okay. Can I just ask a clarifying question? Why is it considered served if we have a return of service from the sheriff?
Chair, we have a return of service from the sheriff indicating that as per the amended summons, that he has affixed a copy to the door of the property. Because as I indicated on the first summons, the Secretary to Parliament directed that we would serve that summons personally on Mr. Letsoalo via the Sheriff of the Court. Since we could not get him in hand personally, despite numerous attempts, despite it being clear that there are people in the property, because it didn't have to be served on him personally, it could have also been served on any other person above the age of 18 years. We then went back to the Secretary to Parliament to say, can we now serve via other means, including affixing it to the door and otherwise publishing on social media and via his email address. So all of that has then also been done, Chair.
Okay, okay. No, I understand what you mean. Honourable Atkinson.
Chair, sorry, it was exactly that point that I was wanting to cover, because I think if this did go legal, we can show that we made all reasonable attempts to serve the summons, and the fact that it is actually out there in the public domain on social media and it was affixed to the door, it would be considered to have been served on him.
Okay, thank you. Honourable Madlala, I can't remember now. We've done so. Honourable Kupek hasn't spoken. Honourable Kupek. And then I'd like to make a suggestion and then we adjourn for now.
Thank you, Chair, and greetings to the House. Chair, and this is not an attempt to be included into the conversations. I was happy standing out.
You are a member, so you are already in it.
But I'm just worried, Chair, that whatever happens here, may we ensure as a committee going forward that whatever the outcome is of this back and forth that is happening with Mr. Letsoalo, that we do not at the end appear as Parliament to be a toothless dog. People must not think that it is okay or acceptable to disrespect Parliament. So could we just please make sure that on our end, our T's are crossed, our sentences are dotted, and do whatever it is that is necessary to make sure that we always maintain the respect we deserve as Parliament. Thank you, Chair.
No, thank you very much. And I'd say that's also the responsibility of all of us. May I make the following suggestion? Oh, sorry, Honourable Bila.
Thanks, Chair, and good morning to everyone. With that response to Ms. Ibrahim's WhatsApp, do we still believe that Mr. Letsoalo will come to appear before this committee? With that said, Chair, I just feel sorry for the South Africans who were waiting for his response to all the allegations and all things that are happening at a road accident fund. What are the South Africans supposed to believe? will they believe that RAF has its interest at heart? I doubt that. And the only doing word that we can use after, if tomorrow he is not able to appear before this committee, is that he has refused to come and appear before the committee. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Pila. May I propose the following? So I agree, firstly, that we wait in the Parliament precinct at least until midday. So we adjourn. It's been over an hour now. It's 12 minutes past 10. He was scheduled to appear at 9. We wait in the Parliament precinct until 12. May I suggest an additional step? May I suggest that Ms. Ibrahim makes yet another call to those attorneys listed there to say that I am following up on our conversation yesterday as well as our correspondence. Do you have a response for us? One. Secondly, that Ms. Ibrahim follows that up with an email or a letter, and that we give them until the close of business. Once we get to 5 o'clock, at approximately 6 p.m., Ms. Ibrahim is to send to the committee an update. So hopefully by then there would have been some kind of response, but whatever the state of affairs is, may I suggest that it is then forwarded to the Secretariat, and the Secretariat shares it with the committee, so that the committee knows by tomorrow morning what the state of affairs would have been. Because the importance of the letter is that it proposes that Mr. Letsoalo does not want to come. We can't take that as is, because we need to get it from his attorneys of record. If they send us the letter today and say he is not coming, at least we can now move on to next steps, because we've got an answer from him, right? Secondly, we've got an opportunity to then take advice on the totality of events that have occurred, so that we may decide what the appropriate next steps are going to be as a committee. Would that suffice, members? So another attempt is made today by phone as well as by email to the attorneys listed on that letter, and then Ms. Ibrahim updates the committee after 5 to say whether anything has been received. I think at that point, we really would have taken all reasonable steps to make sure that Mr. Letsoalo is here. If we get nothing, having spoken to his attorneys, and he was clear in his SMS that he does not want Ms. Ibrahim to contact him again. So that's the state of affairs right now. And I do want to say, members, that two things. One is that the fact that there are 3 branches of the state matters. I've explained a few times to people that the fact that there is a commission appointed by the president into General Mkwana's revelations does not affect Parliament. They're doing that for the president. Parliament has an obligation to run its own process. And therefore, no one can say, but why are you looking into this because the government? No. Parliament is there to oversee the government. So whatever the government initiates, Parliament can still oversee that whole thing. Right? That is, but it's important to emphasize the authority of Parliament. One of the things we've really tried to do is to be gentle with witnesses in this way. We've had several witnesses who did not want to come. I took the trouble of explaining to them, Ms. Ibrahim did, in 1 or 2 cases. I also spoke to the witness and said, this is enhanced oversight. You are not on trial. Some people will make allegations about you. It is important that you get an opportunity to refute them and to point us to where we can get alternative information, because our report must be fair. I think if we look at the history of how we've interacted with Mr. Letsoalo, more than any other witness, there's been the most number of exchanges between us. They really have been. To the point where he feels that we are harassing him. to the point that he feels we are harassing him. So, Honorable Kupek, I want to say I agree with you. But at some point, we must think about the precedents we are setting. Because what we allow, everybody else is entitled to it. And Parliament will be paralyzed for good. So it's important that we apply the power that we have appropriately without being overzealous with it. But at a point where we need to apply it, people need to know that Parliament is not a clown show. And when people are supposed to come here, they do. And that's all I'm going to say, members. I think we've bent over backwards, but I'm okay that we do. So that when we then take action, nobody can say, you never gave me a chance, you were never clear, I didn't know, you didn't take all reasonable steps. That's the dotting of the sentences, Honorable Kupek, and the crossing of the T's. And hence I'm making this additional suggestion that we have a big record of us attempting to give Mr. Letsoalo an opportunity to make his own representations before the committee. But members, after today, I really think it's important for us to recognize the power that Parliament is supposed to have and apply it without prejudice. Thank you, members. So shall we stick around until 12? Ms. Ibrahim will then make further attempts, update the committee at the close of business. Thank you, honorable members. We adjourn.